Most investing videos on YouTube are generally trying to sell you either their workshop or some sort of affiliate link. This video, however, has neither. And instead, all it has is 15 years of mistakes, a couple of wins, and just the honest truth about how you can start investing in the UK to try and build yourselves some wealth. And no, the answer is not investing in the S&P 500. Plus, I'm also going to share some stuff that is never really spoken about in these investing videos, which is a shame considering they've all amassed over millions and millions of views. I'll keep this one simple. The answer is inflation, and it's eating away at your money every single day. In fact, I could even put forward an argument that by the time this video is over, you would have sadly got a little bit poorer. Because right now, my friends, the easy access savings accounts are offering around 2.42%, whereas the CPI inflation sits at around 3.4%. So you're already in a losing race as you're down by 1%. And also worth noting is that as of this month, the Bank of England held its interest rates at 3.75%, with many people feeling that this will actually be reduced down the line. Because if the last 5 or 6 years have taught you anything, not investing is actually more risky than investing itself. Because you and I can all relate that everything has literally gone up over the last half a decade by ridiculous amounts. Now, how do we combat inflation? The obvious answer here is generally the stock market. This is where a lot of people and a lot of these videos move towards. But what I want to say, my friends, is the stock market isn't the only option. And depending on where you are within your life, it might not even be the best option for yourselves. Now look, I've spent the last 15 years heavily investing in property. And the truth is, it's aged me. But in all seriousness, my journey started from single let to thankfully being able to build new homes within my local community. But boy, did I take a lot of L's. In fact, I probably took more L's than wins throughout that 15-year journey. And I wouldn't wish that upon any of you guys watching. However, I can sit here 15 years down the line and I can argue that my returns in property certainly beat the stock market. However, I would be doing you a disservice if I wasn't transparent and fully honest about what I'm about to share. Because in my opinion, the property landscape has changed dramatically. Now, I do have a video that will run through this in a lot more detail, but just some headline figures if you can't be bothered. Last year, 93,000 landlords exited the market. And this year, projections state that 110,000 landlords will also be exiting the market. And this is a combination of the taxes, the interest rates, and of course the Renters' Right Act, which will kick in May. Now, despite all of that, investing in property can still work. But in my opinion, it's just not as simple, and I guess that's the word, or at least as it was when I first started. Plus, something that property gurus will never tell you is you need a serious amount of capital. So unless you have capital in your own bank account, or you have the ability of finding it and getting it from other people, then you are going to struggle in this game. It's a very capital intensive investment vehicle. Now, before I give you the good stuff, I had to put this in here because this is not only boring, it's really crucial. Because if you're trying to invest while you have all these high interest loans, either through your credit cards or personal loans, then you, my friends, are trying to fill up this bucket with huge amount of holes. And no amount of investing, no matter how good you think you are, will outcompete what credit cards and personal loans charge. As of today, credit cards can charge anywhere between 20 and 30% APR interest. No investment vehicle is going to consistently beat that. And even personal loans with people with average credits, you're looking at around 12%, my friends, which means the stock market, which is returning 8 to 10%, simply can't compete. So I hope you can see the problem there, right? The maths just doesn't add up. Now, once you've managed to do this, the next thing is to get your emergency fund in place. And by this obviously depends on your circumstances, your dependents, and where you currently are sitting in your life. It can be 3, 6, 9, heck, it can even be 12 months if you're overly cautious. But it's really important to have an emergency fund that sits in cash. And I know I said at the beginning of the video, cash sitting there is making you poorer. But unfortunately, one of the most important things that most people won't tell you is staying in the game is the most crucial part of this. There's no point wiping yourself out, putting all your eggs in one basket, seeing the market crumble, losing a job, or having bad experiences in your life happening where you are unable to then fall back on some savings and you're forced to sell your investments. So it's always good to have a runway which covers your expenses. So make sure you get this and just put it aside. So this is the bit that you've been waiting for. What should you actually invest in? And I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. It's boring, like really, really boring. What I'm talking about is a global index fund. That's it. One investment, thousands of companies, all exposed to the entire world economy. And what have you got to do? Well, you got to buy it, you got to hold it, you add to it when you can, and you're done. Thank you for watching. Hit that like, and I'll see you at the next one. I'm just kidding. In all seriousness, I know what some of you are thinking. Why not invest in the S&P 500? This is the one that all influencers talk about. Hey, this is something I used to talk about and something I invested in for many years myself, because that's where all the growth is, right? Well, here's something interesting. The FTSE 100 actually outperformed the S&P 500 from 21% to 17%. The S&P 500 price to earnings ratio was 28, whereas the FTSE 100 sat at 17. However, this is something that I believe. The US market is expensive, historically expensive, which doesn't mean I'm saying completely avoid it altogether, because let's face it, 60% of the companies in the global tracker are USA anyway. But in my opinion, betting everything on one country, even if it's America, is a huge risk in my opinion. So a global index fund is the safest bet. It's one that's still going to give you great returns. And truthfully, it's one that you invest in where you can openly say, I'm not really sure what the future holds. And that's probably the most truthful position that any of us can have right now. Now, if you're still with me, thank you, because there are some nuggets I'm still going to share with you guys. And firstly, I just want to put my hands up, because about 5 or 6 years ago, I was able to come out of a couple of property deals with a substantial amount of money, at least for myself. And instead of putting it into an index fund like a sensible person would do, where it's safe, where it's going to give you reasonable returns that you can compound over years, I didn't do that. Instead, I decided to invest in shitcoins, something that I'm not entirely proud of. And just for full transparency, as I've never shared this with anyone, this is currently my portfolio. Now, you're welcome to laugh, because you're probably thinking, if somebody's happy to invest in property, which is a very slow burner for the last 15 years, why on earth would they go ahead and invest in something like this? And I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I was stupid to believe that I had the right to gamble. And effectively, that's what I was doing. I was gambling with my money. And I thought the rules simply didn't apply to me. Spoiler alert. They did. And boy, did they hurt. So friends, feel free to have a giggle about that, because truthfully, if I don't laugh about it, I'm going to end up crying. Now, on a plus side, just in case you think I'm absolutely crazy, I did actually do well with Bitcoin. But even with my Bitcoin holdings, there were still many options where I let emotions get over me. And personally, I've realized for myself, at least now where I'm currently at, I don't need all of that stress. And I'm just looking for something a little bit more toned down. And this is something I'd urge you guys to do as well. So often we see things on the internet that look shiny and look like they're offering amazing returns. Generally speaking, my friends, when something seems too good to be true, it usually is. That's not actually what investing is. And rightfully so, I learned a lesson that I probably needed to learn sooner rather than later. Moving on. Now let's talk about something the UK actually gets right. And I certainly don't see enough people taking advantage of this properly. We're talking about tax wrappers. The first is the stocks and shares ISA. As of recording this video, you can put £20,000 a year into this. And the best part is, any returns you make on that, they're tax free. Yes, you heard that right. The UK is allowing you to do something where you can make money and not tax you on the returns. No dividend tax, no capital gains tax, it's tax free. And for some reason, the government's not touching it. Also to note, there is a thing called cash ISA, which is generally quite popular amongst people who don't want to invest. But the government, as of April 2027, they're changing things up a little bit. What they're actually doing is, if you're under 65, they're going to limit cash ISA contributions to £12,000 from the initial 20,000. And it's the government that's actually pushing people to invest in stocks and shares rather than just saving their cash within this ISA, which is an interesting stance. But nonetheless, use your stocks and shares ISA first. It's not complicated, it's just a no-brainer. And then secondly, we have a pension. Now, most employers will match your pension contribution up to a certain point. And in my opinion, my friends, that is actually free money. Plus, the government also adds a tax relief on top of that. So if you're not taking advantage of this, in my opinion, my friends, you're leaving money on the table. However, there is a downside with pensions that many of you may point out in the comments. With most pensions, you can't touch that money until, of course, your retirement age, which seems to be creeping up every few years. So the ISA in this instance is actually more flexible if you think you're going to need your cash a little bit earlier. But the basic principle for this point, my friends, is dead simple. Before you put a single pound into other investment vehicles and any other taxable accounts, why not max out the tax-free options first? Now, you've probably heard a lot of people telling you to invest 50 to 100 to 150 pounds a month. I was probably one of those people. And I understand that this is sometimes very, very vague for people's situations, because the truth is, it's not necessarily always about how much you're investing. And in my opinion, the actual amount you invest matters way less than the percentage you can actually afford to invest for your particular situation. I.e., if we were to look at someone investing 5% of their income as opposed to someone investing 20% of their income, those two are on completely different trajectories. In investment terms, of course. And I truly believe that the fund you pick and the platform you use, that's all just noise. The investing percentage is what actually moves the needle. If you're under 10%, you're most likely going to struggle to build any long-term wealth. unless of course your income is absolutely through the roof, or if you got 4 or 5 decades ahead of you. But if you're sitting at 20%, 25% of your income and you're investing that and you're allowing it to compound, that's where I believe the math starts working in your favor much quicker. Now sadly for this video I can't give you the exact percentage because I don't know your personal circumstances, plus I'm not a financial advisor. But just be honest with yourselves, friends. Are you actually living within your comfort zone, or are you really trying to improve your future outcome by investing what you possibly can? Now, this is something that not a lot of people speak about, but it's something that I certainly have to do myself, because even if you have the best strategy in the world, it's going to be useless if you can't stick to it. I always say consistency comes from sustainability. Can you sustain what you're currently doing in order to be consistent? And when it comes to this, I'm talking about automating everything. I need you to set up a direct debit. I need you to then make sure the day that you get paid, the money goes into your investment account. You don't see it, you certainly don't touch it, and you also stop thinking about, should I invest this month or should I not? Because the truth is, my friends, in my opinion, the best time to invest is always now, if you're thinking long term and you have a long future ahead of you, which I hope you all do watching this video. And on the flip side, there can always be a time where your brain can convince you that now might not be the best time, and the best time is actually in a few months, in a few years time. And the point of investing is to stick to logic rather than emotion. And automation, my friends, makes it much easier. Now, let me be really real with you. Markets will crash. Not might, they simply will. Markets are cyclical, and sometimes they drop 20%, sometimes they drop 30%, and sometimes they drop even more than that. And when it does, on that day, you're going to open up your app and you're going to see the number ahead of you, which is going to be either less than what you invested or way less than what you expected. And your first thought's going to be, I need to sell. I need to jump ship and I need to get out of here. But from my experience of investing for over 15 years is don't. And I mean it. Don't. Remember, markets have recovered from every single crash over the last 150 years, from the 2008 to the dot-com bubble to the C90 pandemic. And each market after this has gone on to hit all-time highs. However, there is a nuance that is missing in most videos. And this bit is really important. There's a concept called the sequence of returns risk. Because you see, it's not just about how much your investment grows. It's about when it grows and when it doesn't grow. Because the takeaway from this is, the closer you get to actually needing that money, the more conservative you need to be. If you're 25, a crash is good. You can probably sustain that. You're probably okay with that. Because you know, one, you're getting stuff most likely at a discount, and two, you've got a lot of time to recover from the market and see hopefully future all-time highs. Whereas if you're 58 and you're planning on retiring at 60, it's very risky if a crash hasn't happened for a certain amount of time to be holding on to that. And that's why sometimes it's good to have some capital put aside outside, sitting there as a cash buffer, completely separate from the market. Now, one thing before we wrap up is I want to talk about scams, because this is never really spoken about in investing videos. Last year, UK consumers lost £9.4 billion to fraud. And investment scams, my friends, were the single most financially devastating category amongst all of them. Because the game has changed now. There's stuff like deepfake, AI generated videos, and literally there's content out there that looks 100% legit that is just a fugazi. So here's my advice. If you see a celebrity figure or a public figure, heck, even myself, offering investment opportunities online, always assume it's fake until you can validate it. And if the returns are too good to be true, generally speaking, they always are. And in my opinion, this is the best self-defense that you can take for 2026, is to be on the back foot and be a little bit conservative. Now, let's wrap this whole thing up together, because this is a very long video for me and I don't normally do videos this long, so I really do hope it has helped somewhat. This is what I'd actually do if I started investing today. Step 1, clear the expensive debt, build an emergency fund, and no investing until that's done. None whatsoever. 2, if you have the option of using a workplace pension, use it up until the employer match. That's free money, so take it. Do not leave it sitting there. 3, open a stocks and shares ISA. Pick a global index fund, set up automatic monthly contributions, and don't overthink which fund you actually pick. Any decent global tracker will do. 4, increase your contributions over time. Every raise you get, every bonus, every bit of unexpected cash, a chunk of it goes straight in before you even see it. We are not going to succumb to lifestyle inflation. 5, don't touch it. Don't check it obsessively. Don't react to whatever's in the news. Just let time do its thing. And 6, as you get closer to actually needing the money, start shifting gradually towards less volatile stuff and build up that cash buffer for the early retirement years. And that's it. And seriously, friends, if you stuck around up until this point, I just want to say thank you. And you literally could have been doing anything. So until next time, my friends, thanks for watching.